Again, before I call the meeting to order, I want to make sure anybody in the audience that has any questions or comments or discussion, please come up to the middle table so everyone can hear you. I'll call the meeting to order. Jen, will you take roll call?
Commissioner Corbin.
Here.
Commissioner Waldner.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Thill.
Here.
And Mayor Dennert.
Here. In front of us for the Board of Equalization, we have the agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Jen, did you want to start off on this, please?
I will do so. We are here this evening first at 5:30 as the Board of Equalization. We do this the same Monday every year. Just a little background here. The county must mail assessment notices by March 1st of every year. If property owners choose to appeal the content of that assessment, their first step in the appeal process is to the local Board of Equalization, and that's you here this evening, gentlemen. Your job this evening, the board's primary function, is to determine that all taxable properties have been placed on the assessment roll and that a reasonable degree of equalization exists among all of these properties. As an applicant, a property owner, if you choose to appeal to the local board, we at the finance office needed to receive that notification last Thursday, March 12th. With that notification, we needed your legal description of the property that you are appealing, along with a brief explanation of why you are appealing, such as the property is higher than the market value. So tonight you will address each of these properties. We have 8 of them this evening. The local board will discuss each one separately, and then the local board must notify you in writing, you being a property owner, of their decision by March 27th. If the property owner does not agree with the local board's decision, they may appeal one more time. This time they can appeal to the county board. Those written appeals must be postmarked or received by the county auditor by April 7th of 2020. Lastly, the Director of Equalization does have the right to appeal any decision made by any local board to the county board. So your Director of Equalization, even after this evening, can trump your decision before it goes to the local board. Okay? I will attempt to answer any questions that you have going through the process. Otherwise, I will let you get started on your first property, please.
Do I have a motion to consider objection to the real property assessment at 300 Northwest 9th Street?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Jen, we normally have the owners come up.
Yes.
Okay.
If they're present, yes, please. They should come up and speak to their property.
The James Casanova.
James Casanova.
Speak to the group, please, if you would. Why do you want your evaluation changed?
Well, I don't understand how my property could go up $10,900 after the flood, and it cost me $14,000 to fix my property back up. Now you say it's worth $10,900 more. What's the reason? I wrote down you guys must all have a copy of that.
We do.
It's been flooded 3 times since 93, 2012, and 2019. And I fought this before with the city. There's a lot of I bet the pretty everybody sitting there, has got a bathroom in their basement, but over in Ninth Street, you can't have that because the city screwed up back in the sixties when they annexed us in. The sewer's on my street, the curb, foot and a half. And the sewer goes out of my house 4 feet up from the basement floor, and it's a 7-foot floor. So how can you figure it should go up? Well, you guys didn't figure that, somebody did.
Thank you.
I feel that, I just can't understand how something can go up that much in money. I put a picture in there of the flood, of this flood, I don't know where it went.
September
What happened to
2019.
that picture of that?
We got it here, Jim.
Okay,
We
you
have
got
Yep.
that picture.
We have it.
We have that.
That's the backyard of that. I mean, it just don't make sense that you could raise the valuation that much after you went through a disaster. I'd like a little bit of reason for that. I mean, the people, I know, I bet everybody sitting there's got a bathroom in their basement.
I don't.
Well, I guarantee you wouldn't have one if you lived up there because the sewer's too high.
I don't know. So.
And the city hasn't made no effort of lowering the sewer up there. Maybe they will someday if they ever do that street. Nobody will know that, but that's my reason. If you look at it, in 2015, they raised it 9%. Now we're in 2020 and they raised the land 20% and the building 15%. And I objected.
Can you read those numbers to me again, Jim? The numbers you just read, can you read them one more time? The increases that you just read, can you read those again?
In 2015, they raised the valuation 9%.
Okay.
Up to
It
2016.
went up from 58.9 to 63.5.
Okay, okay. Nope, nope.
In
That's-
1919, it was 73. Now it's 86.
Okay.
That right?
No, that'll
Any
do.
comment how you got?
The reason I'm asking is, just kind of looking at those, in the evaluation process, and this would probably be Jen or anybody else who can answer this for me, do they take into account flooding?
He gets a
Assessment.
discount there.
Okay. Are you on the floodplain? In the floodplain?
Yeah,
Is
what?
your property in the floodplain?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, you gotta be,
Yeah.
right, you got a creek in the backyard.
Is that a factor?
Then the other thing I put in there, I don't know where I did that. They just sold a house, three houses west of me for 36.5, story and a half. That's my house, story and a half. And I asked Mr. Becker about that, and he said, well, it's too late, they sold that after I made out all the figures. I said, well, what's that do with mine? Don't make much sense. Any other questions from you guys? Can you help me out?
I'm inclined to let you go to the next level and talk to the county, as they're the ones that establish the assessment.
That would be my thought too. Is it
Where
should
you
it
at?
commercial?
I already went to Becker.
I know,
Yeah.
but you need
Well,
to
the
come here
next step
first.
is the,
And then next step, I
Right. I mean, they're the ones that do the assessments, so.
We
And they're the-
have to, if I may, we have to go through this process. You may have talked to Rick, he can't make any changes after those,
Just the county.
yes, after those notices are sent on the 1st, by March 1st. So first you have to come here, and if they don't want to make any changes, then your next avenue is to go back to the Director of Equalization when it's time to go back to him, and you'll have to do the same process over again. You'll have to
You gotta
submit your
make up the
letter.
same paper?
Yep, your same type paperwork,
Then
and then
you
you
go
work
to
with
the
Rick over
county?
there. Yep, and then
And
you.
the third step, you go to the state. I've been there twice.
Okay.
A 1-1 lot. I I will say on record, there's two people involved, me and Jerry Costello. We're the only one on record, one court case on real estate.
So then do we,
So,
Do we,
that's the next step. You guys got to send it back to the county.
That's what's in front of you tonight. That you either change it or you leave it.
Is that, do I understand that right? I gotta make all this paperwork out again then?
I don't know what the county requires out of you.
uh,
I don't know what the county requires. You'll have to go ask them.
gotta
I'd
go-
assume you can use your letter again.
I gotta go to the county next, or to the county meeting, or how do you go about that? Just like I did this one?
To the Director of Equalization. So after they make their decision tonight, based on what that decision
Oh,
is.
they're not, you're gonna not do it tonight?
we'll make some recommendation, either to accept their recommendation as is, or to send you back to them.
Back to there?
Yeah, okay? And in doing that, we're saying we think you should, at least my understanding is, correct me if I'm wrong, we're saying, we send it back, we're saying, we think this should be reconsidered. In effect?
We're
All
telling them
we're-
to go talk to the county about it.
Okay, so we're not
Because
necessarily
if you
saying.
think it can be, if you think it should be reconsidered, you can change, you can evaluate it, you can look at this and I believe what Jim's request was to go back down to where you were last year.
Yeah, I said I.
Back down to the 7,200 for land and the 63,500 for buildings.
Ever since, 2016.
So Jen, just to make us all clear up here, we're voting on either accepting the 81.6, and if we accept that, Jim or any petitioner can go back to the county.
Correct.
Is what,
That's how I understand it. yeah.
okay.
If we don't accept it.
If we accept what the county is assessing it at, if we say, yes, go with the 81,600, which he's not in favor of, he will go back to the next step, which is the county.
The county board, yep.
Right.
And
But
then you
if you
start with Mr.
change
Becker
it
again.
back to, I don't have to go to the county. right?
But just to make, if we think it should be the 7,700, Jim, if we make that recommendation, we can send that back to the county and they can, just like Jen said, they can trump us and say, no, it needs to be the 81,600.
Then I gotta go down and back to that. I think I gotta do right?
They can still trump, so if this group decides to move it, okay, to accept your request to move it back down, at the end of the day, the Director of Equalization can still trump that and move it back.
He get it?
Yep.
Then I gotta go back. to that.
And then you are better off having them deny it and having you go back to the county and making that request, because then you're re-requesting that. If they approve what it is that you're asking for, you're not making that request, and the Director of Equalization can still move that back up to where it was initially.
So in other words, I should wait.
I don't make the process, I know it's kind of confusing, and it seems like a lot of time to be trumped in the end by the county anyway.
I can't remember how it was, quite a few years ago when I did that.
Where are we at with motions here? What do you want?
We got a motion and we second. We need to, if we're done discussing, if Jim is done,
Yeah, I don't know, wait for you, whatever.
We have a motion to consider
Where
his
was that
request,
paper
right?
for that
Right.
made out?
So the action we're going to take
That one
is,
I made.
not to consider his, not to move it back down to 7,700.
so to leave it at 81.6, we vote against the motion, as I understand it.
Your motion was to consider.
All right.
Let's withdraw that. Do we want to withdraw that and make a different motion? Or is that what we want to Can we work off of that motion?
Or we could amend it to recommend we leave it at 81,600. Pat, you want to say something?
Yep.
Pat has some experience in parliamentary procedure, he's going to coach us.
Pat Mullen, the proper procedure in this case, you need to make okay, you just made a motion to consider. Now, you have to make an amendment to the motion to either approve or disapprove what the county says. You disapprove it, and you can say disapprove with moving it back. Then you vote on the motion,
The amendment?
amendment to the motion, then you vote on the motion. So right now, you have to make a decision. Either you're going to have Mr. Capanova's request that he moves it back to
$77.
77 or
Yeah,
70,000.
2017, right?
2018.
2018, or deny that. That's where you're at, Council, or Commission, my vote. So, if you want, and I've heard say that you're empathetic towards this man's plight. So your best bet, in my opinion, is support him.
We didn't need that, just the motion. Thank you.
Pardon?
I just needed the motion language, but thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you want to amend your motion then?
I'd like to, the message I'm sending is to leave it, my recommendation is to leave it at 81,600. However you want that amendment worded is up to you, Eimers.
How's
Meant to
Mr.
leave
Walker
as
to
is.
get vote on that?
We're doing a roll call.
I was on the phone.
Is he?
So we got motion. Okay. Do I have a second on that amended?
Yes.
Okay.
Can we have, Mr. Mayor, can we have the mayor read back the motion, please?
Jen, do you have that? I'm going to have Jen, because she wrote it down.
So now we've got Mr. Corbin, who amended his motion to leave the property as is, no changes, seconded by Kelly Johnson.
Yes.
Are we okay with that?
Thank you.
Are you ready? Roll call?
Any further discussion, comments?
This will enable him to be able to go back to
The county,
Now
right.
appeal to the county.
I feel to the county now.
Yes.
Yep.
which, whatever, and so, for clarity purposes and for myself and nobody else, if we changed it in any way, the county could still trump our change. Okay. That's what I want, which is, I think, what you were saying also.
You know what? We'll leave it as is then, huh?
We need to
Oh.
vote.
Jen,
All right,
you
roll
want to
call.
take?
Are you ready? Commissioner Corbin,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thel,
Aye.
Mayor Dennert.
Aye.
Okay, so my next stage I go to county, huh?
Yep.
When did you say that date was?
April 7th,
I got flat by then,
correct.
so I can do that anytime, huh?
Anytime after, yes, anytime after this evening, once we get the paperwork back over to them
And
tomorrow.
I got the same piece of paper I got from you the other day.
Yep,
Where's
Come see
that
me.
one at, eh?
come see me, I have it.
Huh?
I have the originals, come see me.
Can I get a copy of it?
You sure can.
Okay. You got two over here, when am I supposed to do the second one?
That's just for reference for whoever sits at the table there.
Take them both?
Nope,
No, leave out.
leave one there, please. Yeah,
I was looking where I had the price of that house, 3 houses west of me, and they ain't on here. Thank you. Thank you, Pat.
we're all clear on the first one?
I'm clear on the first
Okay.
one, you're clear on the first one.
Yep. Do you want me to ask for a motion on accepting what the county has? Okay,
We're gonna be deviating from that.
That's a great idea.
is that all right? Okay. All right. The second one, do I have a motion to accept the county assessment on property assessed at 501 Southwest 2nd Street?
I'll try it again, so moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Jane, this is your property, okay?
Yes. My name is Jane Clark. I own the property of 501 Southwest Second. Do you need the legal description?
They
No,
have
we're
it in
good.
front of
We're
them,
good.
go ahead.
We're good.
I recently received a letter informing me that the property taxes have been assessed at $97,500 for my property for the year 2020. 2019, my taxes were at $84,500, and that's an increase of $13,000 on that property. I had a great conversation with a gentleman at the equalization office, and he explained to me the tax situation. And then I explained to him that my property has got some problems. And I outlined those for him, and he suggested that I write Jennifer, which I did. So that's why we're here today. I want to represent these problems. Point one, my property is surrounded by rental property. 5 rental properties are around my property. 3 of those properties, I talked to our local police department, and they supplied me with a report of all the police calls they've had to make within the last 4 years of those rental properties being there. And that's just 3 of those. I'm sure that if we went back the 10 years I've been there, that police report would be at least 2 more pages. So you can see my property is not a fun neighborhood to live in. Okay, be quite honest with you. Reason number 2 that I feel that this is overassessed in the first place is that I have railroad tracks going right by the south edge of my property. Now granted, we don't get very many railroads, trains through there, but at 2 in the morning, you are not gonna get any sleep when they're blasting that horn out there. And your night's done. In the day, when they show up, they block the traffic on South Union. In turn, that traffic blocks my driveway, and I have to drive on my yard, over my sidewalk, to get to my tool shed, to get tools, and get back to work. Another thing about the railway going through there, that tool shed that I have is easy access at night, unseen, and it's easy to break into. And the reason I know this, it's already happened to the former property owner. That's why I got busy, since no girl should be without a welder, and I welded up iron bars for the windows so it wouldn't be broken. Okay. The other thing that is detrimental to this property and any future buyers is I can't put a garage on that property. And I don't know, I might have talked to Chad more about this, but when I first bought that property, I found out that I wasn't allowed to put a garage on that property. Therefore, there's not going to be any improvement to that property whatsoever because I can't get, a garage on it or anything else. So, these people wanting to buy that property for $97,500, I don't think they're going to want to do it. The other thing is the city sewer that services our neighborhood. On occasion, more at times than I care to admit, that sewer backs up sewage and methane gas to our houses in that neighborhood. And because of that, I've had to abandon my lower level bathroom and cap that off so I can live there. And I know I've never complained about that or asked for my taxes to be lowered because I don't have that second bathroom. I felt that the $84,500 was excessive in assessment for this property in the first place. But Madison has been very good to me. And I really enjoy living here, and I don't mind supporting our community. I really don't. But I would really like you to consider those following problems and really consider if that $97,500 is a fair price for this property. I really don't think it is. But if any of you want to buy that property for $97,500, let me know. My phone number is 480-1333, and then we'll talk. Okay, thank you.
Me too. Jen, I just don't want to beat a dead horse, but I want to be certain on if we recommend to go down to the 84.5. Does,
You're gonna need to amend your motion.
right, but does the homeowner still has the obligation to, or have the right to go in front of the county?
There's no need to because you moved it.
Okay.
Okay, so you moved it, you agreed,
Okay.
and you moved it
But
down.
that's not guaranteeing, okay, so if we say to move it, that takes away their rights to go to the next level, is what I'm hearing. Okay,
But
and
again,
there's,
you're blessing what it is that she's requesting.
right,
And whether or not, at the end of the day, the director of equalization will trump that, we don't know that.
right. Okay. I just want to make sure everybody, we were all on the same page. Any further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, you want to take roll call vote?
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner?
Aye.
Commissioner Thel?
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin?
Aye.
Mayor Denner?
Aye. Number 3, do I have a motion to accept? Yes, Jane?
Nothing?
Oh,
No.
we're good.
Once in a while, my eyebrows go up, so I'm still awake.
All right.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to accept the real estate property assessment on 1408 Northeast 5th Street?
So moved?
Second.
Okay.
My husband Jeff and I are appealing the assessed value of our property. Our notice this year said that it was going up from $193,100 to $223,000, so $30,000, 15% increase. We saw a similar increase last year, and quite honestly, we don't think we could sell it for that because we live out by the airport and pavement ends right in front of our house, so we live on a gravel road. But our house was built in 2006, I believe. We also have no sewer drainage outside, so while we have curb and gutter, there is absolutely no place for the snow that's melting to go, and it just sits in the gutters and now has formed a lake on our road and has thus sunk the curb and gutter that is there. So now, instead of sitting in the gutter, it's starting to overflow into our yard. In the 8 years that we've lived there, we've had cattails grow in our yard, or in our streets. We constantly have to request that maintenance is done to the street because there's potholes. After the winter and the snow melts, we have to spend a full weekend raking all the gravel out of our yard every year. I just don't think that we could sell this property for $223,000, and we already saw a large increase last year.
The county just did an across-the-board increase this year, right? That's what it's looking like. That's what they said they were doing in the paper. And
I guess I'd just like to see some of that tax revenue then come back and maintain my streets so that I'm not dealing with water every year.
why do we have gravel roads in that part of town, Chad?
Excuse me, if I'm thinking of I think I know where your property is, I think that's near the end of the development of that subdivision.
Goes into a
And so,
field.
yeah,
So the field is full of water. I mean, it causes mosquito problems so that my kids can hardly stand to be outside in the summer. Because there is no drain for the water to go, so it just sits there. In the last 2 years, it's been pretty bad.
that area
They have
was,
been.
I think that area was built quite some time ago and left in that condition when the previous developer sold it to the current developer, and I think it may have changed hands one more time.
We're the only house on the street that doesn't have a paved road. It ends right before our house, and we have gravel.
Typically now we would require that the entire street along any lot be paved before it's allowed to be platted, which is a prerequisite to a building permit for building and so on.
We just, when we moved into the house, we moved in the winter and had no idea the road wasn't paved until the snow melted, and so we had talked to Chad, and we were told that if the property across the street from us, which was for sale, ever sold, then it would have to be paved before ground is broke. Well, that property has recently sold, and I'm pretty sure to the people that live in the house next to it, so I don't foresee that there'll ever be groundbreaking, so I kind of feel like we're never going to see a paved road. And we did attempt to sell the house on our own 2 years ago, and we couldn't even get the $200,000 that we were asking for it because they were concerned about the road.
How many feet of road do you have in front of you? Maybe I know that. No, I don't.
I think
You
it's
said-
roughly 200 feet.
What do you think that would cost, Bob?
Huh?
Pave that.
There's no curb and gutter across the street from us either, so
No.
they'd have to put curb and gutter.
Thank you.
I think it's 200 feet of gravel in front of her house. To the end of her property,
To the east.
to the west.
And Jen, if I'm reading this right, they are getting the gravel street adjustment?
We just started getting that last year, and it was only because they came to our house to assess because we put an addition on. And I asked, why do I have to pay so much when I live on a gravel road? And they said, well, you should be getting a discount. And I said, well, are you giving it to me? And they said, they looked and they said no. So I asked if I could get the last 8 years back, and they told me no. So.
But
They said it was my responsibility to dispute that, but I said I didn't know that I wasn't getting it or that there even was a discount to get.
But you're receiving it now, I guess, is what I'm asking.
This is the first year I received it.
Okay, thank you.
I would agree with the notes that we have in front of us, yes.
Okay. discussion? Questions? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call?
Commissioner Thune,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin,
Aye.
and Mayor Denner.
Aye. Moving on, do I have a motion to accept the assessed real estate property at 903 North Prairie Avenue?
I make a motion we accept.
Second.
My name is Bob Geringer, and I own that property. My reasoning is I know clearly I could not sell the property for the assessed value that, now that it's been raised. I had a good discussion with the county assessor, and it appears that all I can do, you guys got no way to substantiate my claim. You don't send out an assessor to look to evaluate the property. If I had brought some type of real estate evaluation from a realtor, I don't think you could have accepted that either. So it doesn't look like I have any choice to just let you guys rubber stamp it and then go to the county. Is that correct?
That's in effect.
Okay.
I mean, we can, like Jen said, we can suggest it, they can veto us, and then you have no further claim to go to the county.
Yeah, well, I understand that. This is the process. It is the
Yep.
process that it is. I'm just surprised that you guys are in a position where you really can't do anything.
So are we.
Yes.
So are we.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for your time.
And that's essentially what you've outlined is what we've done with the first three of them so far. Four.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And then the paperwork, you have copies of the paperwork?
If you want to stop back tomorrow morning and get those,
Sure, I
yep,
can.
we'll give you
know,
copies. Or
And then I can submit it through you, or?
no, then we're out of this, and then you need to go to the Director of Equalization and submit it to them by
Okay, and
April
they're
7th.
over at the courthouse?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stop and see us tomorrow. We'll get you all this stuff back. Okay, sir?
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for hearing me.
Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
You didn't vote though, right?
Nope,
No vote.
we,
There wasn't a vote.
that's right, okay. I'll make a motion. I mean, we'll take a vote, roll call vote.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin.
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner.
Aye.
Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
And Mayor Denner.
Aye. Move on to number 5. Do I have a motion to accept the assessed value on the property at 307 Northeast 4th Street?
So moved.
Second.
And the person,
She is not here.
okay. So is there any further discussion, comments on this property? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote?
Commissioner Waldner.
Aye.
Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
And Mayor Denner.
Aye. Do I have a motion to accept the assessed value on the real estate property at 703 North Liberty Avenue?
Make a motion we accept it.
Second.
And the homeowner
Also not present.
not present. Is there any further comments, discussion on this property? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote?
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
and Mayor Danner.
Aye. Do I have a motion to accept the assessed value on real estate property at 1026 Northeast 2nd Street?
6th Street.
6th Street. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Mr.
Yes.
Tesh is here, right?
Come on up.
Property owner, I spoke with the county assessment person, and he looked at my property, and he said we are not currently getting our gravel discount.
Oh.
And so, he said you cannot apply that to this year, and come here and talk to you guys and appeal it. So that's what I'm asking, what is the gravel discount for this year? And then they said they would take care of the following years.
You would not get it for this year, meaning you would get it.
We'd get it for you if we accepted
He said
it?
I had to go through the appeal process to get it applied to this year. He could not apply it until the following year.
You know, I feel like these are a little different, actually.
Right, I do too.
So I'd make a motion to modify it. I'm sorry, Jen, what was that?
Nope, that's fine. I was just gonna say, the notes that you have in front of you do verify what he's telling you.
Yeah.
That is not part of, right.
So that would put the suggested adjusted value at 176,300, 10% savings.
That's what I calculated.
Wonderful.
So
That's my,
amended?
yes.
Okay.
So it's still an increase, but just like the discount.
A less of an increase.
I did have a question on that. So if we made, will this go into effect of what he's paying this year in taxes?
Right, they will
Okay.
adjust this down,
Okay,
correct,
okay,
and save him some money this year.
okay. And then from then on out, should be covered, right? Okay, thank you. Any further comment, discussion?
Do we have to vote on the amendment?
Yes,
We have the motion and the second on the amendment, so now we should take roll call, correct?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
and Mayor Danner.
Aye. We still need, on the first motion, or being we amended it, we're
I
good?
think so. No, I think we need to approve the motion now.
Jen? On,
I'm trying to do too many things.
oh, I'm sorry. Being we amended that, do we approved the amended, now we have to vote on the original? Or we could?
Was the second made
Yes, by me.
On the original.
on the original or on the amended?
It was made on both.
Then you should vote on both the amendment and vote
The amended original.
on the amended.
Okay,
So we
so now
vote,
one more roll call to vote on the amendment.
Correct.
okay.
Okay? Here we go. Commissioner Waldner. Commissioner Waldner. Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin. Mayor Danner.
Aye. Okay. Thank you.
Does that apply to both parcels?
No, you'll have to address both separately, please.
The second one is also yours, right?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm going to make this motion. I want to make a motion, or I need a motion to, for this, to consider giving the 10% gravel street adjustment to this real estate assessment. Will that work better, Jen?
That works better.
I love
That's
it.
easier, isn't it?
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Same will apply. Any other further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, take roll call, please.
Commissioner Corbin,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
and Mayor Denner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to review the 2020 assessment rolls?
Review with no changes made should be your motion. You've got the blue books there in front of you. Some of you have looked through them tonight. Some of you looked through them earlier today. Our motion should be to review with no changes recommended, please.
So moved.
Second.
Any further comment, discussion? Jen, you want to take roll call vote?
Commissioner Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin,
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner,
Aye.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye.
and Mayor Denner.
Aye. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion to adjourn. All in favor, signify by aye.
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 All opposed, motion carried. Need one?
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead. Commissioner Waldner, we're going to take just a brief session here for get up and stretch our legs, and then we'll get started.
I'll sit way over here so we can do our self-distancing. This isn't 6 feet, keep moving.
Do you really? They probably make pretty good money.
Thanks, sir. This is from last
Mhm.
You sign a lot more stuff than I do.
Well, I just want to give that, you can charge Tammy if you like. Sorry, Jen.
And my signature used to be worth quite a bit. I signed 4 times and got like $2.5 million worth of equipment for the National Guard, so. Those are nervous days. Got to go through every single line item, make sure everything's there, inventory it all. Oh.
No thanks.
And pray you didn't miss anything,
Yeah.
because you signed for it. The property books.
Okay. All right? Okay. All right,
Should I be sitting this close to you?
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
The cost of living.
Again, before I call the meeting to order, anybody that has any comments, discussion, please come up to the center table so everyone will be able to hear you. I'll call the meeting to order. Jen, will you take roll call?
Commissioner Corbin,
Here.
Commissioner Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Thill,
Aye. Here.
Commissioner Waldner,
Here.
and And Mayor Danner.
Here. We have the agenda in front of us.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Under the appearances acknowledgement, acknowledge retail on sale liquor license transfer application and set data hearing of
March 30th, I think.
Yes, sir.
March 30th. Stadium Sports Grill, Madison, Inc. Stadium Sports Grill, Madison to BMS Goat LLC, Stadium Sports Grill.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Jen?
Yes, you have paperwork before you to transfer the current RL 5726 from our friends out in Spearfish, John Heck, to new owners Brian Miller and Brad Stearns. Worked with Mr. Miller last week late, was able to pull all of this paperwork together. You have it in front of you, no concerns from my office. If you would approve the setting the date of hearing, Mr. Miller will be here with us 2 weeks from now to answer any questions you have.
Any further comments? Discussion?
We'll publish the notice this week.
Not hearing any. All in, Jen, you want roll call?
Yes, please. Commissioner
Okay.
Waldner.
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
And Mayor Danner.
Aye. Consent calendar.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. All in favor, signify by aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried. Seeing there's no unfinished business, we'll move down into new business. Authorize the mayor to, do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign master license agreement, new singular wireless PCS LLC, doing business as AT&T Mobile Corporation Wireless Communication Facilities.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Commissioner Waldner, I think this one's yours.
Yeah, we've worked, I guess, a lot of people have put a lot of time and effort into this agreement over the last, I'll probably say, year and a half, maybe even 2 years. And a lot of us will also recall that we had a similar agreement that we passed in 2018 for Verizon. And basically what we're looking at here is kind of the same thing. It's an agreement that works with AT&T to allow them, and not necessarily allow them, but kind of set some of the ground rules as far as installing some additional equipment, some small cells within our community, and you know, with the coronavirus and the number of people working remote locations all across our nation and across the globe, you know, mobile connectivity is important now as it's ever been, if not even more. So it's somewhat ironic, somewhat coincidence, or timely that that this agreement here in front of us. And I guess I'll say a few comments, and I think there's some people there in the room that also want to say a few things. But I guess, you know, first off, if you have a cell phone, smartphone, tablet, connected device, this agreement will benefit you. according to the Pew Research Center, more Americans go online mostly using a smartphone instead of using home broadband. 17% of Americans are now what we call smartphone-only users, and what that means is that they own a smartphone but do not subscribe to broadband internet services at home. And it's important to point out that roughly 1 in 4 lower-income adults are smartphone-only internet users. So, as you can see, this is a service we need to bring to our community and to our citizens. We've had this agreement in place. Verizon has stepped up to the plate. They've installed some of this additional capacity within our community, and we're very hopeful that AT&T will do the same. And, you know, I guess one of the big reasons is obviously people want to live and build companies where broadband is a major force in determining where they are going to live and where they can actually build those businesses. That's no secret. That's all throughout the entire nation. And obviously with the amount of technology businesses we have in Madison now and in the future, we need to continue to be a leader in pushing that technology envelope. Let me see, I got a couple other notes here. My support of this agreement is pretty straightforward. It improves economic development, improves our local business capabilities, that they can utilize broadband, whether it be having an app for their business, whether it be people ordering online orders from your restaurants, from your grocery stores to your convenience stores, educational capabilities, public safety, and obviously the social and economical needs of our citizens. And I'll finalize my comments by just saying, again, this agreement and this advanced technologies that these carriers are bringing to our community impact every single citizen with a mobile device and or a cell phone, improved coverage, capacity, speed for every citizen, visitor, traveler passing through, commuting workers, remote workers, and such. And with that, I will stand by for other questions or comments.
Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to come up?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Jose Marie Griffiths, the president at Dakota State University. I think you've heard me talk about 5G telecommunications before. I would urge you to consider and hopefully approve this motion. 5G is really not about the infrastructure, which is what you're sort of looking at in that agreement, is the infrastructure, but it's really about the services that the infrastructure will allow. And it's going to allow services for K-12 education, healthcare services increasingly to people who are in the home rather than coming to clinics or hospitals. Emergency services will improve business attraction and development, and precision agriculture also can't occur without that kind of bandwidth. 5G is really about improved services, and I don't know if you noticed today, Commissioner Warner referred to it, but we had a lot of people who were working at home today, and Verizon was having a problem. It was taking a long time to get connected, assuming you could get connected. We had a situation, we had to put out an announcement to our broader community, and it took 5 minutes for the texts and messages to get out. Had that been an active shooter situation, just to use an example, so like they thought they had Blackhill State last week, the message would have taken five minutes to get out, and that's just not acceptable. So I wanted to let you know. I think 5G will be a business attractor. Every single study that's been done shows that the better the telecommunications infrastructure you have in an area, the more businesses you're going to attract. And then also, if we improve the bandwidth and speed in town, it will free up capacity for people in the slightly more remote areas of Madison. The business model is very different from cable. We have to incent the big carriers to put in the infrastructure because the tendency is, well, we've got a lot of other bigger cities, bigger municipalities to go and potentially generate more revenue. We've worked hard over the last couple of years to encourage the large providers, Verizon, AT&T, to seriously consider putting infrastructure here in Madison early in the process of implementation. And I honestly do believe that if we left the carriers to their own devices and didn't provide some incentive for them to come and look at us, I think we'd create a new digital divide. The old digital divide used to be between different socioeconomic groups, demographics, but the new digital divide will be an urban-rural one. Because if you think about the services and the number of phones and devices that they're going to service, any major city is going to have more than small cities in this country. I think you've heard me say before, 80% of cities in this country have fewer than 10,000 population. So we want to be an early representation of the cities so that we can take advantage of all the benefits that the services that will come can benefit the citizens and the businesses of Madison. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else? Mike, I did have one question for you. Is this the same agreement we did with Verizon where we're waiver a fee? I think it's for the access right away, that we can do a monthly fee for X amount of years? Can you?
It's a 5-year agreement that, and it's not monthly, it's yearly.
Okay.
And there's some restrictions on that from the federal level as well. And so, yeah, it's $25 a year for 5 years, and in a nutshell, that's incentive for them to install more towers, more sites, more facilities early on, so that they don't just kind of lag along. In other words, the sooner and the more that they install, then the more benefit they'll get, albeit, all of what, $125 or something.
That is $25 per pole.
Yeah.
Okay. And
after the 5 years, then we will do that, and
Okay.
a lot of that's just also so that we can remind the carriers, and they like that as well, because then it kind of gets us all into an annual cycle to remember the equipment and remember that they're here in our community.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Verizon's already installed some along Washington up by the high school. I think there's some in Egan too, and they provided new poles, so keep that in mind. So we got new light poles there, and then it's not a tremendous burden by any means on the city to have those assets there. So it's not, if that incentive is what helps them come to a smaller community like us, I don't think it's a burden by any means.
And again, I guess I missed it on the Verizon, on the waiver, so that's why I was asking. It's the only reason. Any further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take a roll call vote on this, please?
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner?
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thill?
Aye.
Mayor Denner?
Aye. Do I have a motion to authorize the mayor to sign agreement AE2S Nexus Asset Conversion and Policy Assistance?
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign agreement A2S Nexus Asset Conversion and Policy Assistance.
Second.
Jen?
Yes, this is mine, please. You have before you an agreement with AE2S Nexus for asset conversion and policy assistance. It details a scope of services, all which has some key deliverables. At the end of this process, we will have a beautiful Excel spreadsheet, updated, cleaned up land, buildings, vehicles. They will also go back into our last 5 years of capital project bid results, help us determine the depreciation and the capitalization of some of those past projects. For a price, if you would, of $13,000, I am recommending or asking that we code this as we have with other Tyler projects. When all is said and done, we will have an asset spreadsheet that will be downloaded, uploaded into our new software.
It sounds like it's lifting a tremendous burden off the finance office.
It is, and it's doing a tremendous amount of long overdue cleanup of the fixed asset spreadsheets that I inherited many years ago. Okay? They're also going to, some of my concerns when it comes to assets is land. You know, if you look at our current asset listing right now, we've just got land, we have no legals, we have no descriptions. Again, it's just all pooled information. They're going to work with the county, Department of Equalization, get all of that land squared away. Lots of good things. I'm very excited about this. Furthermore, then they will work with us on a asset policy that addresses future recording of assets depreciation, and also sit down with us and do some departmental education so we can work together as we move into this new software and everybody have the same level of understanding of what to do and how to place it within the software.
Let me just add, I'd encourage you to, if you can find experts to help you with other large parts, go ahead and do that. It's important that we get this software implemented this year.
This was our first request toward Tyler assistance, if you will.
And this does more than just help us out with the software. I mean, this is part of being professionally managing the assets that we have. In this process, we'll be able to determine what our average annual depreciation of all the assets are, because some of them are longer life than others and they have different values. You got to go through and do all this math to come up with what your average depreciation is per year, and that's what we should be investing back into the system on average over a period of time so that we maintain the value that we have in our systems. So this is going to give us the information that tells us what that dollar amount is. And right now we do things more or less on a straight line depreciation, saying we've got a facility that lasts X number of years and we need to put so much money into it. It's not necessarily true, because some parts are worth more than others and some live longer than others. So we need to have this analysis to give us that information so we can move forward and do a professional management of our asset.
Agreed. Have been working with Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith is a former employee of the city of Sioux Falls, so has got some real great municipal background that I'm excited about too. Local municipal background.
You good on where the funding is coming for the payment?
This is unbudgeted, so I should have asked that your motion include funds to come from general, water, electric, and sewer as part of the Tyler process.
Can I just make that so?
Thank you.
How much was it again? 13,000?
$13,000.
Do we need a second on that, Jen?
You have a second.
Okay. Okay. Any further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take a roll call vote?
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner?
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin?
Aye.
Commissioner Thill?
Aye.
And Mayor Denner.
Aye.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to set bid date, water system improvement project phase 1A?
What's our bid date?
April 9th.
I'll make a motion to set April 9th for bid date for water system improvement project phase 1A.
Second.
Chad, do you want to visit on this one?
Yes, I could say a few things. This is the first of 3 anticipated phases for what we commonly have been referring to as a rural development project. USDA Rural Development provided funding for this, particularly the water mains. We are working with a self-funding, so to speak, everything other than the water. That was included in the budget discussions last year. We did get authorization from USDA Rural Development to proceed with advertising for bids last week, and so that's why this is on the agenda. There will be also, in addition to the 3 phases of water mains and a water tower that will be being sought to advertise for bids, hopefully within a month or 2. And with that, I can stand by for questions. Several other folks who have also been party to many of these discussions, but at this time I'll just stand by for questions, or if there's anything I missed, feel free to add.
Further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, take roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Waldner.
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. Number 4, set bid date of April 7th, bid number 892, construction of underground electric primary, secondary service, and street lighting circuitry.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Brad, do you want to cover this one, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this will be just a typical upgrade project for the most part. We'll be doing the last area that's on the current 2400 4160 low voltage and converting it to the high voltage and removing the overhead. And so this is the last of the upgrade projects of any significance. There will be a couple little pieces here and there that we're going to do on our own, but this is going to be the last big swing. And so this has been a long, drawn-out process, but we're finally going to complete it this year, where we're no longer doing overhead distribution to the homes and businesses. So this is a very good one. So I recommend approving this so we can get it done.
Realize there's boring in this.
There's lots of different components, yes.
And I know the last time we talked about boring, we also talked about laying another piece of conduit so we could use it down the road. Is that in this, or?
At this point in time, it is not.
Okay.
But this, Brad, is part of the $520,000 that we have got budgeted for this
Upgrade.
2020 electric distribution conversion project.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any further comments? Not hearing any. Jen, will you take roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Corbin.
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
Mayor Denner.
Aye. Number 5, do I get a motion to review and award bid number 890, Padmont switch gears, transformers, cable, and street light poles?
I'll make that motion, and then we'll amend it based on staff's recommendations on what we accept.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Brad, do you want to bring us up to speed on this one, please?
Yes, you should have in your packet a letter of recommendation from DGR Engineering, and then also a bid tab for the project. And on this one, we're going to follow, as far as I know, we're going to follow everything that DGR has recommended. In this case, the pad mount switchgear, we're going to go with option number 1, which is air insulated. We'd considered going to a dead front switch, and the issue with that is that these were going to be both some to go in the system and some to go as spares. And the problem is that if we try to go with spares with everything else being air insulated right now, we would have to re-terminate the wires before we could use the switch in spare application. So the decision was made at this point in time to continue to go with the air insulated switches. And that would be so bid number one is option number one to Irby Utilities for $53,020. Bid number two, single-phase pad mount transformers go to Resco for $86,339.35. Bid number three, the three-phase transformers, goes to Resco for a bid of $76,865. The primary wire will go to Wesco, bid number four, and that is $83,352.50. The secondary wire would go to Wesco at $34,775. That's bid number five. Bid number six is for streetlight poles to Gray Bar, and that is for $31,680. That comes to a total of $366,031.85. We had estimated in our original breakdown of cost for this project $380,000 for that. So out of that $520 that we talked about earlier, $380 was allocated out of that, so that gives us a little bit more of that to spend. Are there any questions?
Are you happy with the bids?
Yes.
Now, you said all this is part of the upgrade?
There's going to be, in this one, some of the three-phase transformers. We do have some three-phase transformers that we want to put into stock. I believe there's a couple of those in here, because we don't have much for three-phase transformers on this project, so there's a couple of them in here, but the bulk of this is for the upgrade project. Again, there's the switches, we have some spares to replace what got used up during the flood.
Are some of the streetlights for the RD project or in conjunction with that?
These are primarily going on the upgrade project.
Okay.
We do have some that we need to do for the RD project and some for the cyber estates. So they're probably all inside this one bid. So.
Any further comments, discussion? Not hearing any. Jen, roll call, please.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin.
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner.
Aye.
Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
Mayor Danner.
Aye. Number 6, do I have a motion to review and award bid number 891, Water Main Improvement Project 2020-1, Division Avenue Water Main Street Surface.
Well, you didn't announce who you're awarding it to. Do you want that in the motion right away, or what do you want to do?
You also want to talk about other stuff in the motion.
Right, so we're going to
So
have
I want to
some-
make this motion, actually. If you can withdraw yours.
I withdraw mine.
Okay. I want to award to Halmy in the amount of $599,813.50, and that is more than we anticipated. So the additional funds for this project will come, it's about 100,000, 90 to 100,000. So roughly 45 to 50,000 will come from unobligated cash and water, and the other 45 to 50 will come from unobligated cash in the general fund. Did I do that all right?
You did great.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Second?
Chad, do you want to?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners and the public. Included in the agenda packet is a bid tab showing the bid results. We opened bids on March 5th, 1 o'clock for this project. There was 3 bidders. Halmy Incorporated out of Bryant, South Dakota was the low bidder. for $599,813.50, and the two other bidders were higher than that. This project, the low bid for this project does exceed what was estimated for the project and included in the budget. Included in the budget is about $509,000, split approximately equally amongst the water fund and the general fund for the street and surfacing portion. We worked with Halmy, albeit they were a sub on a project we worked on, and we're comfortable with their work and comfortable with their equipment and so on. It's quite a bit different being a sub versus a prime. I've talked to the contractor. He's still comfortable with their bid and prepared to complete the project. I would also recommend that we go ahead and award the bid to Halmy Incorporated as the motion indicated. And I'd be happy to stand by for questions or to elaborate.
Chad, on our the budget, what you put in for 509, did that have any contingency in it, like a 10% or?
Basically, in the numbers, it was there, and
Okay.
so I would have expected the bid to come in actually under 509, but with some of the recent bidding environment, been hearing reports of in the region from other engineering groups and other communities and such. Some of the bids may be coming in a little bit higher, and so that's somewhat of a pattern we've started to see. So I would say within the 509 there was contingency anticipated. That didn't turn out to be the case.
I'm all right with the motion as it is, and if they do have a cost overrun, they can bring it to us for a change order. We can discuss it.
I guess I'd like to find out why our local contractors aren't bidding this when they don't even have to go out of town. Have you ever talked to them to see why they don't bid, or have they got too much work, or what's the problem?
I believe we have one contractor that has bid water main projects in the past. I didn't know. It's been a while, so I don't have the numbers on the top of my head as to how big those projects were in the past. It was probably at least 5 years ago since we had a local bidder of the water main, so I wouldn't be able to say exactly why. No, I haven't talked to them and asked them. For the prime and the water main portion, there are local contractors and suppliers that have worked on recent projects. With Reineke, for example, they've been a sub, and of course they supply. So I can't say for sure.
I don't think we're hiding these bids. And
No, I'm not saying that.
There's a pretty standard process for how we advertise them.
You're required a minimum 10 days notice legally put in the paper and such, and the contractors are well aware of that. It's put on the local exchanges in Sioux Falls. So there was quite a bit of interest. We haven't went to a full-blown electronic bidding process, but we do distribute plans electronically. That helps out quite a bit as well. And so I might have expected a few more contractors to bid, but this is what we had, and so 3 contractors, I'm satisfied with that. That's pretty common. A lot of work out there. I think some of these contractors are full too, and would have been nice to get one at what the budget was anticipated, but we didn't.
And on my end, I just need you as a group to understand that it's over budget, substantially over budget, that you're okay with that, and that you know that down the road we will likely have to supplement the general fund, highways and streets department by potentially this $50,000, depending on what else comes up within the year and where that bottom line is at.
Thank you.
I guess the only comment I have on this is I think we need to do the project. There's been lots of water main breaks on that line. I was hoping it would come under budget too, but we need to really, with our big $21 million RD project. We just, hopefully we'll stay on their bid and not have any change orders and go from there. That's the only concern I have.
I should say, we did look at alternatives since the bid to, as the mayor had indicated, to the idea of rejecting the bids and maybe just rebudgeting or rebidding next year. Obviously, we would anticipate similar prices next year. There wouldn't be anything material that we would change. There's nothing particularly unique about this project where we would expect prices to go down or anything. So in other words, we probably would see a slight increase on the bids from this year. We also thought about maybe coming up with an alternative bid, but project in short time, in a short period of time. That there's a number of challenges with that, and no guarantees on the pricing for that. It would be unique and not customary to what we've done in the past. So ultimately, in review of those over the past week, when we've been reviewing these bids, I've come to the conclusion that with my recommendation to proceed with the bid as the low bid is here.
Any further comment, discussion?
No.
It seems that lately our bids have gone up. The water building is an example of that. Bids came in extremely high. Economy is moving allegedly recently. So bids are probably going to. It didn't surprise me when I got a call out to talk about this, that it was going to cost us a little more than we thought. But I still think, as the mayor said, I think it's worthy of getting it done. Like to see us proceed, so I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Jen, roll call.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Corbin.
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner.
Aye.
Commissioner Thill.
Aye.
And Mayor Denner.
Aye. We have a motion to adopt policy 3.9, cell phone payment.
I make a motion that we adopt the police department policy 3.9, cell phone payment, and it be retroactive to include January and February. Thank you.
Second.
Yes, the only comment, and I have talked to Police Chief Meyer on this one. It does say in the policy that the payment will include in the last of the month paycheck. I've talked to Lexi that does our payroll, and if there's no objection, to move that to the first pay period of the month.
No objection here. That sounds good. Whatever works best for them.
And I think I talked to Justin, we would start the payroll April 1st, and then back pay for January, February, and March.
Again, no objection here. I mean, however that works for Lexi, that's fine.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a little bit to discuss. We had our HR person type up a policy, and it was okayed by the Department of Labor, and now it's not good enough for this. I just don't think that this is the way to go. If you're going to have HR put work towards it, then it should be good enough to go. It would be for any other department.
I'm all right with starting with a simple policy. One department, we'll see how it goes. And we can tweak it.
On behalf of the Finance Office and the HR Office, if I may, we were asked quite some time ago directed to develop a cell phone policy. We put a lot of work and did a lot of research and put together a 6-page, very comprehensive cell phone policy that addressed all of our issues, everything from electronic discovery to mobile data management to liability, excess hours, overtime, things that could come of this. We placed this on the February 24th agenda. It was never acted on. There was no motion, there was no second. Never acted on. A week later, we were sent a policy from the police department, if you will. Our knowledge knew that this was not a good policy, that this was not something that we should adopt. We sent it to the Department of Labor, who deemed said policy as unenforceable. So then that one was pulled off of the agenda, and now tonight we have in front of us just a very simple policy that addresses one department. It does not address a lot of the liability and concerns that the finance office and HR office have. We understand we are not decision makers. I just want it on the record. I want it on that camera that the HR and the finance office does not approve of this policy. Thank you.
Well, the HR, when you put your trust in HR to do something, you should back it. That's the way I feel. And right now, I don't think that we're getting the backing for our HR and our finance department on certain things, and it's not the way to go.
We reached out to the city of Sioux Falls, to the city of Watertown, to a lot of HR colleagues, then also reached out to other departments to see how they handle city cell phones, city-issued cell phones. Again, we learned a lot. We were never truly even given the opportunity to share that with many of you, and now we have before you just a very simple policy that, again, HR and finance has concerns with.
Well, we can still work on it.
Any further comments, discussion? Jen, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Corbin?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldner?
Aye.
Commissioner Tell?
Nay?
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
And Mayor Dyer.
Nay. Do we need a motion on number 8, Jen, to discuss or just?
I think it's just discussion. You don't want a motion, right, David?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what we're gonna cover, but I think discussion is probably adequate.
Okay.
Yes.
We're going to discuss public use of city facilities, number 8.
I asked this be put on.
Yep.
So,
Start.
I think Mike would like to join us in this discussion, but I'm just, with the need for caution in all things with this current crisis we face, health crisis we face, and the issue with COVID-19. The library is a good example how they are, technically the library is closed, but they're open. So if I want a book, I can call in, they say, yeah, we have that, it's available. They'll get it ready for me, and they will bring it out to the curb to me. And then I can also return books that way also. So in other words, consumers can still use the products from the library without going in the building and risking contamination. So, and they're open, I believe, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, and then Monday through Thursday, 8 to 6, and then Friday and Saturday, 8 to 5. You can check that. But Mike and I have talked a little bit about what are we going to do about the Armory. And so I thought maybe some discussion among us about that, about how we're going to handle the use of that facility. My feeling is we should close it at this time for use.
Are you closing it to third-party outside groups or for any use whatsoever?
Any use whatsoever. I think that's the only way we can be sure we're across the board. Now, that again, that's my initial response. Is there any other discussion, or Mike would like to say something?
Those, can I just say one more thing, Mike? Those are largely administrative decisions. We don't need motions for such actions, but we should certainly have announcements
And that's kind
as
of,
we make
yeah.
those decisions. But
And even after I thought of this, probably should have gone under announcements, but it's.
no, that's okay. I'm not critical of where it's at on the agenda. I just want to be clear that I don't believe this commission has to vote to make those decisions. I actually think that the commissioner in charge of the mayor have the ability, in conjunction with the proper staff, to make those decisions and then just simply make those announcements. I did some legal research this morning at the request of the mayor, and it's evident to me that the city possesses the authority to make immediate and strong decisions regarding the health and welfare of its citizens. And so we don't have to have a lot of debate, we don't have to have a lot of discussion, certainly you can have it, but we don't need votes to make these decisions. But I think it'd be wise to make those announcements. Sorry.
It's basically on the weekends, it's booked from sunrise to sunset for different teams practicing and everything else. The high school's got to shut down, nobody get in the high school. They're trying to keep people not next to each other. So I didn't know which way we wanted to go with this. Do we want to keep letting them practice in it? It's ultimately up to you. We'll clean it every day. We sanitize it, but it all comes down to what the commission wants to do with the building.
One of the things that you're going to need to weigh is, and I don't know, at a little bit before 5 o'clock tonight, the CDC has now lowered their recommended gatherings to 10, from 500 to 250 to 50 to 10 in the course of a week. And so that's going to put particular strain on decisions such as the community center, and it's going to make put strains on decisions with the armory, school gyms, etc.
Commissioner Waldner, has there been any talk about the fireman's dance?
Nothing that I have heard at this point.
Which is April 4th. So I didn't know. Most of the closings I've seen for these public buildings have said that they're closing till April 1st and they will reevaluate it then.
But is that allowing them enough time if they do postpone it?
But they're telling us that there'll be 1,000 people in that building on April 4th. So
Right.
I mean,
I guess just what I'm saying, if April 1st comes, if we wait till April 1st, and they still suggest to keep it closed, are we allowing enough time for the fire department to?
I don't want to close the fireman's dance, but sometimes we have to.
Right. Right.
Maybe we could turn it to a street dance this summer.
What are you looking at, Kelly? Maybe reopening at 13th of April?
There's an election in there too, you gotta remember that. So on this,
That's April 14th.
We've got some real pressing issues.
We do. Going through my list there right now, what are people gonna do with their elections?
I would be certainly not a decision maker here, but if you're going to close, 2 weeks seems to be what a lot of people are doing. That April 1 date, Mike's correct. I'm seeing it all over the place.
Until further notice?
Until further notice, but I think that we better get the firemen in here to see what their thoughts are here. Maybe as soon as next Monday.
Right.
Well, I think Commissioner Waldner can deal with it too if he's
Correct.
comfortable. I mean,
and then the
Yeah, I can visit with, the fire chief, and he can get a hold of his board members, and they can make a decision, I think, pretty quick on it.
And then there's one other thing, we have some rec programs that we're currently running, and do we want to discontinue them?
What are the rec programs?
Like volleyball and volleyball out of the armory. So if the building closes, then we're gonna have to shut it down, because actually right now, they're juggling right now, because they used the high school gym, or the middle school gym. They closed it down, so they were gonna juggle the schedule to try to fit it into the armory on different days. But with that being said,
Lincoln is shuffling right now based
Yeah.
on the fact that they can't get into the school buildings where they're used to playing. So now we're trying to shove them all in the armory
Yes.
and trying to make it fit.
so.
Not easy choices.
No, it's not, but I believe we need to take precautions. I think we need to use at least political approach. the date I have in mind.
Oh, they lowered it to 10 people?
Yeah.
Lowered it to 10 today.
How many people does it take to play volleyball?
I can barely go home.
Right.
Want me to shut your home down?
It's farther reaching than you think. I mean, all of our sales forces have been told to stay at home because, you know, a salesman goes from one place to the next, to the next, to the next. They come in contact with hundreds of people, you know, several hundred people in a week. So they're all staying home. And so all of our sales staff that's coming around, the one that we've got to deal with, and I don't know how we're going to deal with it for sure, is the delivery people. We have delivery people coming and bringing you know, stuff to us every day, and you have to sign their little hand pad and everything. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to get that done where we're not exposing our staff to somebody that's, you know, having an issue. So we're trying to figure that out and work with our UPS and FedEx and those types of people to try to figure out how we're going to take our inventory in without having to come in contact with somebody that meets 1,000 people a day or whatever it is.
I concur with Commissioner Johnson that we should shut her down till
Close
April
it and the
1st.
rec programs in that building until April 1.
I agree.
So tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I will put effective, the armory is closed.
Yep.
With no access.
I think you have authority to do that right now.
Yeah.
Can I ask
7
about the
p.m.
status of the library? Closed this week, closed until further notice. What was that decision?
Well, they're gonna, I think they can continue on the way they are, because it greatly lower the risk of contamination by the way they're dealing with products.
Well, they're not allowing more than 10 people in there. They're not really allowing anyone in.
No one can go in the building.
Right.
Right, they can
Yeah.
work, the staff is working, but nobody can go in the building,
Correct.
right?
They're
Right.
bringing things out to the
Bring it
car.
out to curbside. If you wanted a book,
And you-
call in and say, I like this one, should I pick it up? They'll have it for you at curbside, which I think says a lot for our staff.
I would suggest sort of mandating that procedure until April 1.
Okay.
I did have one question on that. What steps are they taking when the book comes back? Are they doing?
Yeah, I need to check on that.
Okay.
You know, I'm hoping that they, that's a good question, is all I can say. Certainly like on a DVD or something that went out,
Right.
you can ask it between return.
Right. Okay.
Good question.
April 1 then, so the news media knows what we're talking about?
I think that's the announcement / discussion here this evening.
April 1 for the library and the armory and the rec.
And then we'll reevaluate at that
Right.
point.
Are you comfortable with that,
I am.
Mr. Jenks?
Hopefully we're not back in here discussing.
No doubt.
Yep.
That would be great.
Public comment?
Nothing, sir.
Okay, announcement, before I take any announcements, I would, as mayor, I'd like to make a statement on the virus itself. With more presumptuous positive tests for the COVID-19 in South Dakota, our HR coordinators has reached out to all the city departments with information about the COVID-19 and special precautions our employees need to take, such as covering your cough, washing your hands, and even staying home when you're not feeling well. Besides making sure our employees are informed, our HR coordinator will be staying in contact with both the CDC and the South Dakota Health Department, where the city will follow any of their guidelines to prevent the spread of the disease. I've also reached out to Tammy Miller, CEO of Madison Regional Health System, and shared with her what the city is implementing, and she assured me that the Madison Regional Health System was basically doing the same thing. We want to assure our community we are monitoring the situation. As a community, we need to remain calm and continue to use common sense and the recommended precautions such as limiting large groups, good hand washing, and covering your mouth when coughing and sneezing to help reduce the spread of COVID-19. Is there any other comments, announcements?
Mayor, I may have.
Yes.
something, if that's all right.
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. This afternoon, I just wanted an update on what I'll refer to as the Washington Avenue Highway Project. The prime contractor's foreman had contacted me about the project. That the remaining portions of the project are primarily DOT components of work, South Dakota Department of Transportation components of work, sidewalk, some of the surfacing at the intersections, and so on. But he wanted to inform me, and then I thought, since it was later this afternoon, the best way to just announce it here. They're looking to start setting up some signs March 23rd near the railroad intersection to try to complete some concrete work at the intersection with Washington Avenue and the railroad. And they'll close some of the inside lanes there to allow for them to do the work. And then they will proceed with the concrete work from farther north, working from the north part, First Street North, and then moving southward after that. And then starting around April 1st, they'll have a separate crew working on sidewalks starting at the south end of the project that will move in a northerly direction, and so they will move towards one another as they work to complete the project. I don't have any other information at this time. My understanding is the DOT may have some, their staff may not be available, so this is from the prime contractor. When I get more information from the prime contractor or DOT, I will let you know. I guess there's some other minor work as far as the electric lines and some of the underground cable and light poles that will be also being worked on in the upcoming weeks potentially as well. So I just want to make that announcement.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Not seeing anything under exec session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.